Hey guys, it's me Haley. I'm back again. I'm gonna be doing a makeup tutorial of Perry at work. Love her look. I just love it. Okay, so the first video I start. And then blush. Well, I'm only going to be using I'm going to be using 5 things for Perry Edwards. She's just a little simple look. So first, blush. Freaking flowsy.
With these types of plans, you'll be able to visit any doctor or hospital that accepts Medicare patients. Plus, there are no networks, and you never need a referral to see a specialist. So don't wait. Call now and request this free decision guide to help you better understand Medicare and which AARP Medicare supplement plan might be best for you. There's a wide range to choose from. But you love to travel with us, and it's so much more safe. So we found a plan that can travel with us.
Got a weird bag in my hand.
Join the millions of people who have already enrolled in the only Medicare
Okay.
supplement insurance plans endorsed by AARP. An organization serving the needs of people 50 and over for generations. Remember, all Medicare supplement insurance plans help cover what Medicare doesn't pay. And could save you thousands a year in out-of-pocket costs. Call now to request your free decision guide. And learn more about the kinds of plans that will be here for you now and down the road.
Lifetime of experience. How important that is. I believe you have to have a professional presentation.
Foundation.
To cover head to toe dirt. That's just part of the profession.
Blush. Finish. Alone. 40 stuff. Pink.
To 57 days. 28 witnesses took the stand. 654 exhibits were shown. And one number we don't know is how much Jody could profit from her infamy. She's been selling art, we know that. But what about a potential book deal or a movie deal, maybe a clothing line? Yeah, that's right. Can you imagine that she might get these kinds of offers? Well, California Enforcement and Collection Attorney David Cook says this could happen. And Jody could make, he says, quote, billions from it. Now, the attorney says a civil suit for Travis Alexander's family, the only thing that stops Jody from making money, but they also have to consider public backlash. Someone trying to give her money, that could be a factor in all this, especially on social media. We've seen that happen in the Casey Anthony problem. Because afterwards, with each rumored deal, social media would backfire. You know, there would be all this backlash that would happen. And soon, all these rumored offers seem to disappear. So we'll see what happens with that. But first, Jody Arias says that she didn't kill Travis Alexander, and then we remember the story about the ninjas. Then she said she did, and she was abused, and Travis Alexander was attacking her. Or did she just snap? Well, here's the final version of her story that the jurors took into that deliberation. Jody was provoked by Travis. And of course, the jury could also find Jody Arias not guilty altogether. Any one of those things could happen in this case. That's what you got to remember. And one of the last things the jury heard before deliberating was Jody's attorney telling them that she just said, and that's not one of our viewers thinking. Gerald emailed us and he was asking, did Cutner abandon Jody's self-defense, affirmative defense, when in closing arguments, he said that if any crime was committed by Arias, it was manslaughter because she could have snapped. That is an excellent question. I'm going to bring trial expert Holly Hughes, Joey Jackson, both defense attorneys, both former prosecutors here to answer that question. But first, guys, I want you to listen to the moment in closing arguments when Nermi said that very comment. Take a look.
She simply snapped. She may not know it, but you may very well have snapped. Out of control, sudden heat of passion. We've been through so much, and look what happened now.
He even mentioned at the end of his argument, Jody, it surprised a lot of us. What do you think about it?
It certainly did. And listen, defense lawyers disagree and agree about whether this was an appropriate tactic or not. I say it's not. You have to pick your poison. And if your poison is self-defense, she was totally justified in doing what she did. Why? She was fearful for her life. She had to do it. You stick with that. You don't at the end, out of desperation, say, but she's not. Many of us believe that that's what they should have done with at the outset, but to change at the end, to me, it's disjointed, it's desperate, and it's not proper.
Okay,
Wishy-washy. Go ahead.
well, let me jump in here for a second, because if you track her parenting language, what does he say? If Ms. Arias is guilty of any crime, it's manslaughter. That's not inconsistent with, if she's justified self-defense, she's not guilty of a crime. So what are you doing?
Self-defense all the time.
Not completely inconsistent, okay?
Completely inconsistent.
No,
She
because if you said self-defense, she's not guilty of any crime, you guys. All right? But if you have to
like a
find
dark
a
gray.
crime, that's what he said. Any crime, it's manslaughter.
All right. You know, sometimes great minds don't think alike. Let's just leave it at that. And that leads us to our next viewer question, by the way. Carolyn asked us on Facebook, how can the defense bring up in heat of passion at closing when they never introduced it at trial? I really question. Listen.
Snapping.
Okay.
Sudden heat of passion.
So dark brown,
Could account for much
black.
of what we've seen throughout the various pictures that were taken in Exhibit 249. The chaos, the blood everywhere, the shallow stab wounds, the slits in the throat, the running down the hall. All of it in some ways a sad, symbolic ending to a toxic relationship.
Now, Holly, let me ask you this. Is he making the point that this self-defense was done in a passionate way? Or is he really arguing manslaughter or second-degree murder?
At this point, yeah, he's kind of abandoning the self-defense. I think what he's saying is, hey, you guys, if you don't like the self-defense claim and you're totally not buying that, let me give you a fallback position, okay? And the viewer is absolutely right when she says, how come we're hearing heat of passion in the closing argument for the first time, right?
Exactly. Pick your poison. If you're saying it's self-defense and my client is justified, then you stick with that. You don't say, but by the way, the scene is a mess. This all goes to her snapping. You know what? She lost control. That's not what we do.
Wait. Let me ask you the question I always get when something like this happens.
Definitely
Is
all the
this,
time.
could Jody later come back and say, hey, this was ineffective assistance of counsel, I was going for self-defense, and my attorney at the very end of the day said, guys, maybe manslaughter or second degree, and that's why I'm sitting in jail.
No.
Okay, I'm doing it all right.
Ineffective assistance is really a high standard.
Oh, yeah,
It's just
my
that
black
it's
thing.
not my lawyer was ineffective, he was bad. It has to be such gross incompetence. My lawyer was sleeping at the table. He was drunk when he showed up. The cases dealing with ineffective assistance, it's such a high bar. It's just my lawyer made a disjointed argument.
Exactly. And it's a strategic decision. What they're going to say is, okay, this is a strategy decision made on behalf of the lawyer because he thought based on the evidence and the way it came out, we need to argue this now.
Good meeting. By the way, speaking of ineffective assistance of counsel, there have been cases where people have fallen asleep and it still hasn't been effective. All right, Jody, thank you so much. By the way, folks, email your questions to us, express@hlmtv.com, or post them on our Facebook page, or you can always tweet me at Ryan Smith TV. We're answering your questions all day long. We'll have more of your answers to your trial questions later this hour. Now, Jody admits that she killed Travis Alexander, but her attorneys still hoping those jurors find that reasonable doubt that it was first-degree murder. That can mean the difference between life and death for Jody Arias. So last night, the defense team on HLN After Dark tried to create reasonable doubt. We're going to check out part of the case and show you what the jury decided. And take a live look at the courthouse where the jury is deliberating. That's the Fort County Courthouse. Remember, a decision could come at any moment. We can never know what that decision is going to be until that jury steps in that courtroom. And as soon as they do, you will see it right here on Facebook.
When you have joint pain and stiffness, accomplishing even little things can become major victories. I'm Phil Mickelson, pro golfer. When I was diagnosed with psoriatic arthritis, my rheumatologist prescribed Enbrel for my pain and stiffness, and it helps stop joint damage. Enbrel may lower your ability to fight infections.
Start the
Serious,
timer.
sometimes fatal events including infections, tuberculosis, lymphoma, other cancers, nervous system and blood disorders, and allergic reactions. Before starting Enbrel, your doctor should test you for tuberculosis and discuss whether you've been to a region where certain fungal infections are common. You should not start Enbrel if you have an infection like the flu. Tell your doctor to look into infections at cuts or sores. If you have hepatitis B, have been treated for heart failure, or if you have symptoms such as persistent fever, bruising, bleeding, or paleness. Since Enbrel helped relieve my joint pain, it's the little things that mean the most. Ask your rheumatologist if Enbrel is right for you. Enbrel, the #1 biologic medicine prescribed by rheumatologists.
There's the seal inside the courtroom. On the other side of your screen is the Maricopa County Courthouse. That seal inside the courtroom. We're waiting for that seal to be something different. People in that courtroom waiting for that verdict. We haven't heard from the jury yet. They've been going at it for over 12 hours. But as soon as they reach a verdict, we will put you in that courtroom. You will not miss a moment. Just keep it right here on HLO. Now, one thing the defense is hoping for in this trial can be summed up in 2 words: reasonable doubt. And that could be the difference in whether the jury believed that Jody planned the killing or not. And that could mean the difference between a first-degree murder conviction and a possible death sentence, or one of the lesser verdicts. So let me tell you this. Last night on HLN After Dark, we challenged our defense attorneys to create reasonable doubt with some of the evidence. And our in-studio jury and our jury in Phoenix handed down their decisions. Take a look at how Jody Jackson fared.
I want to introduce you to a concept. It's called speculation. And when we look at the knife, I want to assure you of one thing, and that is we don't have a knife. Now, if you have a knife, then you have evidence to make a conclusion on, right? It's like CSI Miami. You can get a hair fiber from that knife. You might get blood from the knife that you can test. You might get a print from that knife that you can test. You don't have any of that. So if you don't have any of that, you're left with speculation. What else were you left with here? We also know, based on the knife being recovered, that a knife is pretty common. Every one of you had one in your household, am I right? And as a result of that, certainly it's readily available, and I would suggest to you that it's something that you can get with her. Now, having said that, I want you to think about this. In the event that you were basing your life on speculation, would you fly to Phoenix to say hello to your fellow jurors there? If the pilot said, I believe I checked the controls, but I'm not sure. Is that enough for you? And with the Phoenix jurors, if I could talk to you, would they fly and come visit me in New York? In the event the pilot said, you know what? I'm not entirely sure. Speculation, ladies and gentlemen.
Time's up, my friend.
Did he raise reasonable doubt
With regard to the knife, yes or no? Okay, we've got a bunch of, we've got spattering those 2 yeses right here. Real quick, number 2, why do you say?
Bye.
There was no knife.